midst of our 8th grade sleepover, the dim glow of flickering candlelight cast dancing shadows on the walls, adding an air of mystery to our gathering. Amidst the laughter and whispers that filled the room, a palpable sense of adventure took hold, infusing the air with an electric energy that crackled with excitement. As we rummaged through the cluttered confines of my friend's attic, our eager fingers brushed against forgotten relics of generations past. Dusty trunks and cobweb-covered boxes yielded treasures of antiquity, each item holding the potential to unlock secrets long shrouded in obscurity. And then, as if guided by some unseen hand, we stumbled upon it, an old, weathered spirit board, nestled among a pile of forgotten memorabilia. Layers of dust coated its surface, obscuring the intricate patterns and faded letters etched into its wooden frame. Yet, despite its age and neglect, the board exuded an undeniable aura of mystique, beckoning us to uncover the secrets it held within. Excitement surged through us like a tidal wave, fueled by the thrill of the unknown and the promise of adventure that lay just beyond our grasp. With wide eyes and eager hearts, we made a unanimous decision to delve into the mysteries that the spirit board promised to unveil, casting aside any lingering doubts or reservations in favor of the tantalizing possibility of communing with the supernatural. Gathering around the ancient artifact, we set the stage for our foray into the unknown, the flickering candlelight casting long shadows across the attic floor. With bated breath, we placed our trembling fingers on the planchette, our hearts pounding in anticipation of the otherworldly communication that was to come. At first, the session unfolded as a mere game, our youthful curiosity driving us to test the boundaries between the known and the unknown. With a mixture of trepidation and excitement, we watched as the planchette glided across the spirit board, spelling out messages from realms beyond our comprehension. Laughter bubbled up between us as we exchanged nervous glances, each of us secretly wondering if there might be some truth to the mystical forces we were invoking. But as the night wore on and the hour grew late, the atmosphere within the attic shifted, the air thickening with an intangible sense of anticipation. A subtle chill crept into the room, seeping into our bones and setting our nerves on edge. The flickering candlelight cast long, twisting shadows on the walls, their dancing forms taking on a sinister quality that sent shivers down our spines. With each passing moment, the energy in the room seemed to intensify, crackling with an electric charge that set our hair on end. A sense of unease settled over us like a heavy blanket, stifling our laughter and replacing it with a creeping sense of foreboding. It was as if the very fabric of reality had begun to fray, unraveling the fragile threads that bound us to the world of the living. Despite our growing unease, we pressed on, unable to tear ourselves away from the enigmatic forces at play. Each movement of the planchette felt like a step further into the unknown, a journey into the depths of the supernatural that we were ill-prepared to undertake. And then, with a suddenness that left us breathless, the atmosphere in the attic shifted once more, the energy reaching a fever pitch that seemed to consume us whole. A sense of impending doom hung heavy in the air, a silent warning of the horrors that awaited us in the darkness beyond. Strange messages materialized before our eyes, their cryptic and unsettling nature sending a chill down our spines. Each word seemed to pulse with an otherworldly energy, as if the spirits themselves were reaching out to us from the ethereal realm beyond. The hairs on the back of my neck stood on end as I read the eerie messages, a sense of unease settling like a heavy weight in the pit of my stomach. Yet, despite the fear gnawing at the edges of our resolve, a fierce curiosity held us captive, compelling us to linger and delve deeper into the mysteries that surrounded us. It was as if we had become ensnared in a web of the supernatural, unable to tear ourselves away from the unfolding spectacle unfolding before us, even as a voice deep within whispered of the dangers that lurked in the shadows. And then, with a suddenness that stole the very breath from our lungs, the planchette began to move of its own accord, as if guided by an unseen force. It glided across the surface of the board with a fluidity that defied explanation, its movements swift and purposeful, as if driven by an urgency that sent a chill racing down my spine. Panic surged within me, a primal instinct urging me to flee, to end the session before it was too late. My trembling fingers twitched with the desire to pull away, to sever the connection with the unknown entity that now held us in its thrall. Yet, as I made to move, a chorus of voices rose up around me, urging me to stay, their tones a cacophony of fear and fascination that mirrored the tumultuous storm raging within my own heart. Their hands reached out, grasping at my own with a desperate urgency, their fingers intertwining with mine in a silent plea for solidarity against the encroaching darkness. And so, with a mixture of dread and determination, I forced myself to remain rooted to my spot as the planchette continued its frenzied dance across the board, each movement propelling us further into the heart of the unknown. In the dim, flickering light of the candle, shadows writhed and twisted upon the walls, casting grotesque forms that seemed to mock our growing terror. Each flicker of the flame cast the shadows into a frenzied dance, their contorted shapes morphing and shifting with an otherworldly fluidity. The once familiar contours of the attic took on a sinister aspect, the lines between reality and nightmare blurring into a nightmarish tableau of fear and uncertainty. The air grew heavy with tension, thick with a palpable sense of foreboding that seemed to press down upon us like a suffocating weight. Every creak of the floorboards, every whisper of the wind outside, was magnified 100-fold, each sound echoing through the attic with an eerie clarity that sent shivers racing down our spines. With bated breath, we waited in silence, our senses strained to the breaking point as we braced ourselves for what would come next. Time seemed to stretch into eternity as we stood on the precipice of the unknown, our hearts pounding in our chests as we prepared to confront whatever horrors lay in wait beyond the veil of darkness. And then, as if in response to the silent plea that hung heavy in the air, a bone-chilling breeze swept through the room with an eerie whisper, snuffing out the candle's feeble flame in an instant. The sudden darkness enveloped us like a suffocating cloak, plunging us into a void devoid of light or solace. Panic seized my heart in a vice-like grip, its icy fingers squeezing the breath from my lungs as I groped blindly in the oppressive blackness. My hands flailed desperately through the void, searching for purchase in the impenetrable darkness, but finding only empty air that offered no reprieve from the overwhelming fear that threatened to consume me whole. With each passing second, the darkness seemed to deepen, its suffocating weight pressing down upon me with a relentless force that left me gasping for air. A sense of utter helplessness washed over me as I stood frozen in the darkness, my mind racing with thoughts of the horrors that lurked just beyond my sight. Every sound, every movement, sent a jolt of terror coursing through my veins, as I waited with bated breath for the next inevitable terror to reveal itself in the blackness that surrounded me. In the oppressive darkness, the air became thick with an almost tangible presence, its weight pressing down on me from all sides like a suffocating embrace. Each breath felt labored, as if I were struggling to draw air into my lungs against an unseen force determined to choke the life from me. Panic clawed at the edges of my consciousness, threatening to overwhelm me as I fought against the suffocating grip of the darkness. Desperate for some shred of reassurance, I called out to my friends, my voice echoing hollowly in the void. But my cries fell on deaf ears, swallowed up by the oppressive silence that surrounded us like a shroud. It was as if the darkness itself had become a living entity, devouring sound and light alike in its insatiable hunger for oblivion. Alone and isolated in the suffocating blackness, I felt a primal fear take root within me, gnawing at my sanity with razor-sharp teeth. Every shadow seemed to writhe and twist with malevolent intent, every whisper of movement sending shivers of dread coursing down my spine. In that moment, I felt as though I were teetering on the precipice of madness, the darkness threatening to consume me whole and drag me down into its unfathomable depths. With each passing second, the weight of its presence grew heavier, pressing down on me until I could scarcely breathe beneath its suffocating embrace. And then, just as suddenly as it had descended upon us like a suffocating shroud, the darkness began to dissipate, melting away like morning mist beneath the gentle touch of dawn's first light. With a sense of profound relief, I felt the oppressive weight that had pressed down upon me gradually lift, replaced by the soft glow of the breaking day. As the darkness receded, I found myself standing amidst the soft hues of dawn's embrace, the events of the night fading into a hazy blur of memory that seemed to slip through my fingers like grains of sand. The air was cool and crisp, carrying with it the promise of a new day untainted by the horrors of the night before. Around me, my friends stood in a silent tableau of shock and disbelief, their faces pale and drawn beneath the gentle light of dawn. Their eyes bore witness to the traumas we had endured together, haunted by the memories of the darkness that had threatened to consume us whole. In the quiet stillness of the morning, we gathered together, united by the shared experience of our harrowing ordeal. Though the events of the night had left us shaken and scarred, we took solace in the knowledge that we had emerged from the darkness stronger and closer than ever before. And as the first rays of sunlight bathed us in their warm embrace, we knew that we would carry the memories of the fateful night with us always, a testament to the fragility of the human spirit and the resilience of friendship in the face of unspeakable horrors. As we stumbled out of the house, the cool embrace of the morning air enveloped us like a comforting blanket, a stark contrast to the suffocating darkness that had held us captive just moments before. Blinking against the gentle light of dawn, I felt a profound sense of relief wash over me, as if I were emerging from the depths of a nightmare into the safety of waking reality. Yet, even as we stepped out into the light of day, the memories of the night that had unfolded within those walls remained etched in our minds like scars, impossible to erase or forget. The events of the evening had transformed what was meant to be a simple sleepover into a journey into the heart of darkness itself, leaving an indelible mark on each of us that would linger long after the sun had risen and the shadows had dispersed. Though we tried to bury the memories of that fateful night beneath the facade of normalcy, we knew deep down that they would always remain a part of us, a constant reminder of the dangers that lurk in the shadows, waiting to be unleashed by those who dare to play with forces beyond their control. In the quiet moments of reflection that followed, I couldn't help but wonder what other secrets lay hidden in the world around us, waiting to be unearthed by the curious and the brave.